Yeah, maybe we can talk a little draft next week when Richard Oliver stops by again. But right now, Richard joins us to talk Astros, Red Sox, Yankees, Indians, and unfortunately a stretch that didn't go as well as a lot of Astros fans would have liked. Richard Oliver, our Sports2Nite baseball/Astros analyst. Thanks so much for the time. We appreciate it as always.
Yeah, I was thinking last week after we talked about, this big stretch coming up for the Astros against these contending squads, the teams they've got to beat. Hector, I thought we'd have a little brighter things to talk about. 7-7 though, Indians, Red Sox, Yankees. So you can take the plus or the minus in looking at that stretch.
And you figure when 7-7, exactly 500, the Astros didn't win a single one of those series. Let's start with that Red Sox series, Richard. Won the first two, so the set got off to a promising start, but then not so well Saturday and then last night as well.
Yeah, and the problem, Justin Verlander throws a pretty nice game, a solid game, actually kind of subpar game for him. Gave up 2 runs in 6 innings and had a lead when he left. And that Astros bullpen imploded again. And just a couple of pitches just get away from him. And, Will Harris just gives up 2 home runs and 3 batters. He hadn't given up a home run all year. But that was kind of how things have gone for the Astros and their bullpen. Part of the alarm bells that we sounded last week was that the Astros bullpen is a trouble spot for them. That certainly played out over the weekend.
Look at the stretch as a whole now, Richard. Last week we were able to talk about the Indians and the Yankees. I said, let's save the Red Sox convo for next week when that series is behind us. Yeah. Well, now all 3 series are behind us. When you look at the Indians and then the Yankees and the Red Sox, is there a takeaway, Richard, outside of, they went 7-7? Anything specific that you saw in any part of that stretch that makes you either go, okay, little hope there, or not liking what I'm seeing in that regard?
Well, maybe 3 things come to mind really quickly. One, the starters are kind of toiling. They're working a little bit harder. Now, they've been untouchable for so long now. You knew that wasn't going to last, but I'm thinking they're feeling the pressure a little bit by an offense that's not backing them up very much. You get the feeling these guys are worn down a little bit. On offense, the Astros, that last Red Sox game, 1 for 11 with runners in scoring position. Part of a disease that's been kind of afflicting this team for some time. And again, we go back to that bullpen. Even Ken Giles, just asked to protect a 4-run lead on Sunday against the Red Sox, gives up a couple of runs in 1/3 of an inning, in his first 1/3 of an inning in the 9th inning against the Red Sox, and just puts that game out of reach. There are concern spots everywhere. The biggest thing we talked about last week, Hector, was the Astros at home against the Red Sox. You knew they had trouble with them in Boston, but they're at home against the Red Sox. They go 2-2. But they're just not hitting, and they're not playing very well at home. 18-13 this year at Minute Maid Park. For a contending team, that's not very good. And the Astros have got to solve that riddle and play better at home.
The only reason I didn't add the Mariners to this list of, this death march type jaunt is because, it's the Mariners. But looky, look who's above the Astros in the AL West. So now this series that starts tomorrow, Richard, kind of looms big for the Astros now against Seattle.
The Mariners a year, maybe 2 years ahead of where a lot of people thought they would be. Got a lot of young talent. They've certainly got hits or bats in their lineup that you have to be concerned about. The Astros have had pretty good series success against them in the past. Keep an eye on that series. The Mariners go in with a game lead on the Astros now in the American League West. That's a big surprise. And consider this stat, Hector. The Astros this year in run differential, plus 122. That's a full 30 runs higher than any other team in Major League Baseball. The Mariners, however, are a game up on them with a plus 17 run differential. That's what happens when your bullpen blows a lot of late leads. The Astros have had those kind of problems. But that's a pretty interesting stat to keep an eye on here over the next 3 days.
122-17, and a team that's 17 in the positive of run differential is a team that's above them in the standings.
Absolutely.
Wow.
Yeah.
Great knowledge. See, that's why Richard Oliver is a man when it comes to not only the Astros, but Major League Baseball as well. Richard, thanks so much for the time. We will see you next week, my man.
You bet.
You're watching Sports2Nite, San Antonio's only nightly 30-minute sportscast with exclusive sports coverage you won't find anywhere else.